Logan Wells adjusted his translation device for the third time, watching the shuttle's viewport as the Kavari vessel came into view. As the station's lead xenolinguist, he'd been chosen to facilitate first contact with this warrior monk species, but his stomach churned with nervous energy. Give him ancient texts and dead languages any day living. Breathing aliens were another matter entirely. The docking bay filled with the soft hiss of atmospheric exchange. As the Kavari delegation emerged, Logan's breath caught as he saw their leader, a woman with pale purple skin that seemed to shimmer under the station lights, her dark curls cascading over broad shoulders encased in ceremonial armor. She moved with fluid grace, each step deliberate and confident. "I am Commander Vela of the 3rd Kavari Circle," she announced, her voice carrying a melodic accent that made Logan's translation device work overtime. Her eyes deep violet with flecks of silver scanned the human delegation. Before settling on him with startling intensity, Logan stepped forward, clipboard trembling slightly in his hands. "Welcome, Commander. I'm Logan Wells, xenolinguistic specialist. I'll be your primary liaison during these negotiations." Something shifted in Vela's expression as she studied him. Her gaze traveled from his nervous fidgeting to his carefully pressed uniform, lingering on his face with an interest that made heat rise in his cheeks. The other Kavari warriors exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable behind their partial face masks. "Wells Logan," she said, testing his name on her tongue. "You work with words, yes? The ancient ones, the forgotten tongues, among other things," Logan replied, surprised by her immediate interest in his specialty. "I study linguistic evolution, translation matrices, cultural communication patterns, the scholar path," Vela interrupted, her eyes lighting up. "In my culture, we believe true wisdom comes from understanding what has been lost to time." She stepped closer, close enough that Logan caught her scent, something like sandalwood mixed with ozone. "You preserve knowledge. This is sacred work." The formal negotiations proceeded smoothly, but Logan couldn't shake the feeling that Vela was watching him more than the proceedings. Every time he clarified a translation or explained a cultural nuance, she nodded with what seemed like approval, even admiration. It was during the closing ceremony that everything changed. As both delegations prepared to part ways, Vela suddenly stood and addressed the room in her native tongue. Logan's device struggled with the rapid, formal speech, catching fragments: honor, bond path, chosen. The other Kavari immediately dropped to one knee, while the human delegation looked around in confusion. Logan's device finally caught up, translating Vela's declaration with clinical precision. "I have found my bond path among the star-touched ones. The scholar Wells Logan is my chosen, and I will prove my worth through the old ways." The room erupted in surprised murmurs from both species. Logan felt his face burn with embarrassment as every eye turned to him. "Commander, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Vela said firmly, switching back to accented standard. "Your mind calls to mine, Wells Logan. Your dedication to preserving knowledge, your gentle manner with difficult concepts, these speak to the depths of your character. I have chosen, and now I must prove myself worthy of your affection." "But we just met," Logan stammered, aware that both delegations were hanging on every word. "I don't even know you." "Then I will ensure you know me," Vela replied, her smile both gentle and determined. "I will show you the strength of Kavari devotion, the sincerity of our bonds. You will learn that when one of my people chooses, we do not choose lightly." As the ceremony concluded and the delegations dispersed, Logan found himself with Vela's formal declaration of intent, and absolutely no idea how to handle it. The woman who'd just upended his quiet life stood before him, radiating confidence and something that looked suspiciously like affection. "I don't understand your customs," Logan said quietly when they were finally alone. "Then I will teach you," Vela replied, reaching out to gently touch his hand. "And you will teach me yours. This is how bonds are built, through understanding, through effort, through time." Logan looked down at their joined hands, her purple skin a stark contrast to his pale complexion, and wondered what exactly he'd gotten himself into. Logan hoped that Vela's declaration had been ceremonial, something that would fade once she returned to her ship. He was wrong. The next morning, he found her outside his quarters at dawn, dressed in full training armor, executing what appeared to be a complex martial arts routine. Her movements were hypnotic, each strike and block flowing into the next with lethal precision. When she noticed him watching through his window, she offered a small bow before continuing her practice. "She's been there for 2 hours," his neighbor, Dr. Elena Vasquez, mentioned as they walked to the cafeteria. "Quite the dedication." "It's not dedication," Logan muttered. I don't know what it is." His confusion only deepened when he arrived at his office to find a small crystal formation on his desk, deep purple veined with silver. Beautiful and clearly valuable. A note in carefully written standard accompanied it. "For the keeper of ancient words, may your wisdom shine as brightly as Kavari stone." Logan tried to return the gift, but Vela was nowhere to be found. By afternoon, he discovered she'd submitted a formal request to extend her stay on the station for cultural exchange purposes. By evening, she was somehow approved for temporary quarters just down the hall from his own. The gifts continued. Rare minerals that hummed with strange energy, a set of translation crystals that made his equipment look primitive, hand-stitched meditation robes that were softer than anything he'd ever worn. Each came with a note explaining its significance in Kavari culture, written in Vela's improving standard. "Your species courts with flowers," she explained when Logan finally cornered her in the observation deck. "We court with offerings that show understanding of our chosen's nature. You study the cosmos through language, so I bring you tools to hear the stars' true voices." "Vela, this is too much. I can't accept. Your words say no, but your actions say uncertain." She interrupted, moving closer. "You keep the gifts. You read my notes. You watch me train each morning." Her smile was gentle but knowing. "I have studied human courtship customs. Your no has 17 different meanings in your language. I will learn which one means keep trying." Logan opened his mouth to protest, but she was already walking away, her hips swaying in a way that made his throat go dry. The next morning brought a new surprise. She'd somehow acquired alien fruits from the hydroponics bay, arranging them artfully outside his door. Most were harmless, but Logan's scanner detected mild toxins in the blue ones. "Vela," he said, finding her in the gym, "some of these fruits could kill me." She paused mid-strike at the training dummy. "Only if you eat the blue ones. The others are safe for human consumption and considered delicacies on 12 worlds." "How do you know which ones are safe?" Her expression softened. "Because I spent 3 days researching human biology and testing each variety. I would never offer you something that could truly harm you." "Wells Logan, your safety is my priority. In all things." The sincerity in her voice made something warm unfurl in Logan's chest. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did." She stepped closer, close enough that he could see the tiny silver flecks in her violet eyes. "This is what bond-seeking means. Every gift, every gesture, every moment of my time, it is all to show you that I see you, understand you, value you above all others. But you barely know me. I know you speak 6 languages fluently and can read ancient texts that would challenge most scholars. I know you prefer tea to coffee and work late into the night when a translation puzzle captures your interest. I know you are kind to the junior staff and patient with those who struggle to understand complex concepts. I know you have a scar on your left hand from a childhood accident with a research tool, and that you still work with your hands despite the injury because you love what you do." Logan stared at her, shaken by how much she'd observed, how much she'd cared to learn. "Vela, I see you." "Logan Wells," she said softly, using his full name for the first time. "The question is, will you allow yourself to see me?" 3 weeks into Vela's campaign, Logan found himself looking forward to her morning training sessions. He'd started bringing his coffee to the window, watching her fluid movements while reviewing his daily translations. She'd begun incorporating what looked like dance into her routine, her armor catching the artificial sunrise in mesmerizing patterns. "It's called the reflection of intent," she explained when he finally asked. "A meditation form that helps warriors center themselves before important battles." "What battle are you preparing for?" Her smile was both shy and determined. "The battle for your heart." Logan felt heat rise in his cheeks. Over the past weeks, Vela had become a constant presence in his life, not intrusive, but persistent. She'd learned his schedule, his preferences, his work habits. She brought him lunch when he forgot to eat, translated Kavari poetry during his breaks, and somehow always appeared when he needed help carrying heavy equipment. "I've been thinking about human courtship," she said, settling beside him in the station's library. "Your species values emotional connection, shared experiences, the gradual building of intimacy. Am I correct?" "Generally, yes." Logan closed his research tablet, giving her his full attention. "We like to get to know each other slowly, discover compatibility, build trust." "Then I have been approaching this incorrectly." Vela's expression was thoughtful. "I have been showing you my dedication, but not sharing my inner self. In Kavari culture, we prove worthiness through actions. But perhaps you need to know the person behind the actions." "It would help," Logan admitted. "Tell me about yourself, not as a commander or a warrior, but as Vela." She was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing patterns on the table. "I was not always a warrior. As a child, I wanted to be a keeper of stories like you, but my family needed me to be strong, to protect our territory. So I learned to fight, to lead, to command. But I never stopped loving words, never stopped believing in the power of communication to bridge differences." "Is that why you chose me? Because I work with languages?" "Partly." She turned to face him fully. "But also because when you speak, you choose your words carefully. You think before you act. You see the person behind the alien appearance and treat them with respect. These are rare qualities, Logan, rarer than you know." Their conversations became a daily ritual. Vela would share stories of her home world, its twin moons and crystal forests, while Logan described Earth's oceans and the first time he'd seen snow. She taught him basic Kavari meditation techniques. He showed her human poetry that made her eyes shine with wonder. "Your species has a beautiful way of expressing emotion," she said one evening, reading over his shoulder as he worked on translating a particularly complex Kavari love poem. "This passage, hearts that beat in rhythm across the void, it reminds me of human romantic poetry." "It's lovely," Logan agreed, acutely aware of how close she was sitting. "What does it mean in your culture?" "It speaks of souls that recognize each other instantly, even across great distances or differences." Her voice grew soft. "The kind of connection that needs no words to be understood." Logan turned to look at her, and for a moment, they were simply two people sharing a quiet moment in the lamplight. Vela's hand moved to cover his, her purple skin warm against his. "Logan," she whispered, "I need you to know this isn't just about my culture's customs. What I feel for you, it's real. It's growing stronger every day, Vela." He wanted to say something profound, something that would match the vulnerability in her eyes, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he found himself leaning closer, drawn by the silver flecks in her violet gaze. She met him halfway, their lips touching in a kiss that was gentle, tentative, and absolutely perfect. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I'm starting to understand," Logan said quietly. "Good." Vela replied, her smile radiant. "Then my campaign is working." Logan's world shifted after that first kiss. Where once he'd seen Vela's persistence as overwhelming, he now recognized it as devotion. Her gifts weren't just cultural obligations, they were love. Letters written in actions, each one carefully chosen to show how well she understood him. He started reciprocating in small ways. A rare book on xenolinguistics that he thought she'd enjoy. A cup of tea prepared exactly how she liked it, delivered to her quarters before her morning meditation. A translation of human poetry that made her eyes go wide with wonder. "You're learning," she said, accepting the slim volume of translated verses. "But there's something else I need to share with you." They were in his quarters. The lights dimmed for evening. Vela had been quiet all day, almost melancholy, which was unlike her usual confident demeanor. "My people have a saying," she continued, settling beside him on the small couch. "The heart that chooses unwisely brings shame to 7 generations. When I declared you my bond path, I wasn't just choosing for myself, I was choosing for my entire lineage." Logan felt a chill. "Are you saying you're having second thoughts?" "No." Her response was immediate and fierce. "I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that despite the political complications, Despite the fact that my family will struggle to understand. Despite the fact that interspecies bonding is still rare and difficult, I choose you. I will always choose you. The sincerity in her voice made Logan's chest tight. Vela, I received a communication from my homeworld today, she said quietly. My mother wants me to return for a traditional bonding ceremony with a warrior from a neighboring territory, a political alliance that would strengthen our clan's position. And you're going to tell her about us. I already did. Vela's smile was both sad and defiant. I told her that my heart belongs to a human scholar who sees the universe through the lens of language, who treats everyone with kindness, who makes me want to be better than I am. I told her that I would rather face exile than abandon my chosen bond path. Logan stared at her, stunned by the magnitude of what she was saying. You'd give up everything for me. Not everything, just the life I was expected to live. She took his hands in hers, her thumb tracing across his knuckles. But I would gain everything that matters, a partnership built on mutual respect, shared interests, and genuine affection. I would gain you. The weight of her sacrifice, the depth of her commitment, hit Logan like a physical blow. This woman had been pursuing him not just out of attraction or cultural obligation, but out of love so deep she was willing to risk everything for it. I've been so blind, he whispered. No, you've been careful, cautious, human. Vela's voice was gentle. You needed to know that my feelings were real, not just biological imperative or cultural programming. I understand that now. Logan cupped her face in his hands, marveling at the softness of her skin, the way she leaned into his touch. I was scared, he admitted. Scared that I was just some exotic curiosity to you, that you'd get bored and move on to someone more interesting. Impossible, Vela said firmly. You are the most fascinating person I've ever met. Your mind, your heart, your gentle strength, they call to everything I am. This time when they kissed, there was no hesitation. Logan pulled her closer, his hands tangling in her dark curls as she pressed against him. The kiss deepened, becoming urgent, desperate, as if they were trying to communicate everything they couldn't put into words. Stay with me tonight, Logan whispered against her lips. Are you certain? Vela's eyes searched his face. In my culture, sharing a bed is the final step before formal bonding. There's no going back after this. I don't want to go back, Logan said, surprised by his own certainty. I want to move forward with you. Vela's answering smile was radiant. Then yes, my chosen one, I will stay. Logan woke to the sound of Vela's soft breathing and the pale light of dawn filtering through his quarters viewport. She was curled against his side, her purple skin luminous in the morning light. Her dark hair spread across his chest like silk. The night had been a revelation. Vela had been patient, gentle, teaching him the ways her people expressed physical intimacy while learning his own preferences. There had been whispered conversations in the dark, shared laughter, and moments of such tenderness that Logan's heart still ached with the beauty of it. Good morning, Vela murmured, her voice husky with sleep. Good morning, Logan replied, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. Sleep well? Better than I have in years. She lifted her head to look at him, her violet eyes bright with contentment. In my culture, we believe that true bondmates share dreams. Did you dream, Logan? I dreamed of crystal forests and twin moons, he said, surprised. And you? I dreamed of Earth's oceans and the first snowfall. Vela's smile was wondering. Perhaps there's more truth to old stories than we realize. They lay in comfortable silence for a while, hands intertwined, watching the station come to life outside the viewport. Logan had never felt so at peace, so complete. I need to tell you something, he said eventually. I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, about your family's expectations. I want to meet them. Vela sat up, her expression suddenly serious. Logan, you don't understand what you're asking. My homeworld is challenging for humans. The gravity is heavier, the atmosphere different, and my family, they can be quite intimidating. I'm not asking to move there permanently, Logan said, sitting up beside her. I'm asking to be introduced to them as your chosen partner, to show them that I'm serious about this bond, about us. You would do that for me. I would do it for us. Logan took her hands in his. Vela, these past weeks, You've shown me what it means to fight for something you believe in. You've taught me that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, a commitment, a daily decision to put someone else's happiness alongside your own." Tears gathered in Vela's eyes. "Logan, I choose you," he said firmly, "not just for now, not just until it gets difficult. I choose you, Vela of the Third Kavari Circle, for whatever comes next. Political complications, cultural differences, disapproving families, all of it." Vela's response was to kiss him with such fierce joy that they both tumbled back onto the bed. Laughing, when they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "In that case," Vela said, her smile radiant, "I should probably teach you some basic Kavari customs before we contact my family. Starting with the proper way to ask for a formal bonding ceremony. There's a proper way. There are 17 proper ways, actually, depending on the circumstances." Vela's eyes danced with mischief. "But don't worry, I'll teach you the one that roughly translates to 'I love your daughter and want to spend my life making her happy.'" Logan laughed, pulling her close again. "That's perfect, because it's exactly what I want to say." 6 months later, Logan stood in the crystal forests of Vela's homeworld, wearing traditional Kavari bonding robes and trying not to stumble in the heavier gravity. Vela stood beside him, radiant in her own ceremonial armor, as her family's elders spoke the ancient words that would bind them together. The ceremony was beautiful, blending Kavari tradition with human elements that Logan had requested. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising to honor their differences while building something new together. "You know," Logan whispered to Vela as they were pronounced bonded, "you never did figure out which no meant keep trying." Vela's answering smile was pure joy. "That's because there wasn't one. Every no you gave me was really a not yet. I just had to wait for your heart to catch up with mine." As their joined families celebrated around them, Logan reflected on how much his life had changed since that first day in the docking bay. He'd gained not just a partner, but a new understanding of what it meant to be loved completely, unconditionally, and without reservation. Vela had indeed won him over, but in the end, they'd both won something far more precious, a love that transcended species, culture, and worlds, a bond that would last a lifetime. The alien woman had tried everything to win him over, and in the end, she'd succeeded beyond her wildest dreams.